fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up to
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
The British double-header heads itself to Norfolk. This is Snetterton and the 200 layout of this racetrack. This 200 layout is a lot faster. This 200 layout is very much about timing and placement. And if you want to be up at the very top today, you are going to have to mastermind the runs through some very, very quick amounts of circuit. This is a track which, for all intents and purposes today, for the fourth round, or the third round, I should say, of this championship going through, this third round is going to need a whole heap of ignited energy. And here on SimSpeed TV, your DSL Welding Services V8 SuperCup is going to have all of that in spate. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen watching around the world. My name's Jake Sperry here, joined alongside with Brady Baldwin along for the ride. This a circuit which everybody knows is one of those classics, Brady, that goes through from old school video gaming up to here. But today, they've got to make an absolute challenge of it. And for the likes of Andrew Dyson, who leads this, let's take a little look down at where we are today, thanks to our Google Earth map as we zoom on in to Norfolk, then Birmingham and London, and just above London we jump on through down to the Snetterton circuit, and a part of the flatland and farmland here of the United Kingdom, one of the true great national circuits that England has to offer, and on top of that, one that's probably most known for a touring car feel.
Yeah, certainly, it's very good evening, everyone. And like you said, one of those classic British racetracks, and looks simple on paper, but it's certainly not that when you're behind the wheel of one of these big, heavy V8 touring cars. It's very hard to get your apexes right. It's very difficult under brakes, and it's certainly going to be a challenge for all these drivers tonight.
Yep, it certainly is. This is a brilliant 8-turn circuit where you've got to be really switched on, going through the likes of Riches and going all the way to the hairpin, was known as Montreal, now is the corner known as Wilson, after Justin Wilson. But then you've got that small flick left, turn 3. Now, Brady, that might be the most important corner on this entire circuit, turn number 3, because you've got to deal with that transfer of weight after having a car that pretty much wants to lean all the way to the left-hand side. You've got to immediately flip the other way, taking that left-hand bend, and it's very easy to spin up the tyres. You're a little bit too early on the power.
Yeah, certainly, Sperry really sets up your run down the Bentley straight, where we could see some overtaking opportunities up into Brundle and through Nelson. A very difficult part of the racetrack, especially under brakes, trying to get your car pulled up, and not much runoff area here at Snetterton. So you really got to get the car pulled up, and then you go through Bombhole and then Coram, and then all the way through to Murray's, the final corner. Really tight apex and really hard under brakes once again. So, like I said before, these drivers won't have it easy tonight.
No, they absolutely won't. Let's take a look, though, at the championship standings after a couple of rounds worth of action. Andrew Dyson on top of things at this point in time in the number 41 machine out there. He has got a 71-point score in total and is 11 clear of Sebastian Varndell in second position. Michael Taliancic then is currently in third position with Blake Delaney fourth, just a point back, and Tim Mulford in fifth position. So the points are certainly there and have been flowing, but it is a top 4, you would say, at the moment, worth keeping an eye out on. And there's some good battling in and around that top 10. Dylan O'Shea, of course, not seen since the first round of the season where that victory was secured. There is your race info. So we've currently gone through 60 minutes of practice, 30 minutes of qualifying. We are in right now. We're inside the last 10 minutes of that. and they'll have themselves a 47-lap race here, Brady, today, and they are restricted to 66.6 litres in the tank and 3 sets of tyres only. We will not be expecting all the drivers to go through all 3 sets of tyres, but what they can do is know that they are on a one-stop strategy here today around one of the fastest circuits that they'll be going around on this calendar.
Yeah, certainly spare. And as we have a look at the standings now, and Andrew Dyson does lead the way once again. He was on top last week, had a lot bigger margin last week. It's really tying up on this small racetrack this week. Just over half a tenth of a second over Blake Warboys and Thomas Freeman, as we see Martin Callahan, in the Twisted Key Racing, number 028, on a flying lap here in the Super Sport category. He is currently the leader in the Super Sport category in terms of qualifying.
Certainly is. Has a double take going into that final corner of Murray's. The inside anti-cut curb does stare at you quite heavily as you go through that final corner out on track on the Ayrton Senna straight and over the start-finish line. The long haul up to Rich's corner, a 109. No real room for improvement there, but it's got all those feels that you go through. Andrew Dyson, though, your championship leader, currently on pole at the moment by 0.06 of a second, ahead of Blake Warboys. Thomas Freeman currently in third, now running through the long right-hander of Coram Corner, which is effectively 3 corners in one, and it's a unique corner. Coram Corner, penultimate corner on track, Brady, because you're going through this right and you're waiting and waiting and waiting to try and put the power down. But you know the moment that you do, you got that heavy braking zone. Dyson over the line did not improve. He was short by 0.04 of a second to improve on that time. But there's the WKMP car, number 63 of Blake Warboys, who is looking for times. And this really is a circuit that challenges, and a unique way that it challenges.
Yeah, certainly swear. As you said, just a Coram Corner, it's one of those corners that you can be so patient under throw. You can break traction so very easily on the long sweeping right-hander, and then you got the final quarter staring right at you. So you really have to be patient around this circuit and really be committing in the heavy braking zone as well and try and make some speed. But the medium speed corner is certainly one of the hardest here on the iRacing circuits.
Yeah. And I'm sure we're going to be finding out just how difficult this is. This is going to be where the main overtaking is going to happen today. On the Bentley Straight, someone finds out the wrong way. 2 back in the group. Why that corner of turn 3 is so difficult. And I want to say that was Tim Mulford getting it all shades of wrong, trying to put the power down. So that wasn't good. But now coming through the right-handers that now flick through. This is where you've just got to be switched on. Your Blake Warboys through Coram Corner and then over into Murray's, the final corner out on track. And it's about how close you can go without really pushing too far wide, and instead is going to have to tackle pit lane, which today is also going to be one of those unique challenges. You know, when it's so tight, Brady, that they put the yellow commitment cone up on the side of the wall. It shows you how important track position will be for the pit stop cycle.
Yeah, certainly, and that'll even be a bigger factor if we have a safety car around the field window as well. As Tally Antich has a massive moment in the 777. If he shoots him racing machine, will keep it out of the barriers. He might just reset here and go for another attempt. Just over 6 minutes remaining left in the session. He's currently P number 7, Michael Taliantich. So we see Blake Delaney in the 08 Fisher Motorsport car come out of the pits, but Dyson still has that advantage over Woodboys, just over half a tenth.
Just half a tenth, and it was a lot more of a gap 1 week ago that Andrew Dyson had. He had about half a second when it came to qualifying. There's the 080, though, of Kobe Jordan there for the LCR ILP SimSport car, looking to try and make something happen. Currently on a 110.6, hitting the brakes in through Wilson Corner, turn 2, and immediately you got that flick left through turn 3. You can't afford to be pushing too wide where the 300 circuit meets on the Bentley Straight in this long run here over or coming under this bridge, which is the entrance to the circuit here at Brundle Corner. This fast left-hander slowing down, turning and braking at the same time because you've got Nelson's Corner that immediately follows after, and you've got to make sure that the car is slowed down. Flicking through the right of the bomb hole corner, there's a massive drop when you hit the apex, and that's where you can slingshot and get that speed. And this is where you're just sitting and waiting, hoping that you don't find the understeer in these Holdens and Mustangs. Or for Kobe Jordan, this Mustang, power off of the exit, looking to drive towards the line and seeing what you can find in terms of a lap time. That's a 1:11.8, and this is one of the brilliant things about this circuit. That didn't look like a bad lap time, but 1.8 seconds off the pace from what was originally done. So it does make life difficult, as Seb Varndale then in the pursuit car goes 5th fastest.
Yeah, certainly, Sperry. You really got to have a car set up, probably pointing towards the front a little bit more to not have the understeer through those tight corners and try not to have the front of the car fall out from under you. So it's going to be a very setup-driven racetrack, I believe, and we'll see the top guys rise to the top like always, but we'll see some guys potentially struggle in those sectors, struggling for a little bit of front turn.
A little bit of front turn is what I'm sure a number of drivers will be hoping for, as Thomas Freeman has improved his lap time in 3rd position, but has not gained an extra place. We're on board, or we're looking at, sorry, the Fishy Motorsport machine, and Michael Whiting at this moment, who is in the 025 and currently classified in 7th position overall. Needs 0.04 of a second to move past the 066 of Brenton Nishka, who is currently in that 6th position. And again, trying to set up this final corner and really get a good amount of drive off the exit. Make a look over towards then the finish line. And a 1:13.9, gearing up for a flying lap. And this very fast Richards corner, turn number 1, which always makes things very scary. John Fillingham will prove that in the P51 machine. And will move out of the way for, I believe, Martin Hallinan to go through. And a lot of drivers trying to stay out of the way here, including that number 55 that was going through there at that point and trying to get as much drive there. So Luke Swan just trying to stay out of the way of the likes of Luke Crum, who was out there on a lap.
Yeah, certainly one thing we have not spoken about whatsoever is traffic on this lap. Under 70 seconds a lap here at Snetterton on the 200 layout. So we have seen guys plenty in this session already. Try and get out of the way of faster guys on a lap. And with the amount of cars on track, it's certainly going to be tight. We're probably going to see 1 or 2 guys get caught up behind a slower car. That's just the nature of the beast at one of these racetracks. You see Mocker Whiting, we see him set up his flying lap just before. He's now crossing the line. A really good lap by the looks. It's a 1:08.1. Will improve to P number 4. So he's closed that gap and he's jumped his teammate Blake Delaney into position number 4.
An important lap time then to move to 4th fastest, and is immediately going to be hitting the brakes then and saying, well, that's that. Still time to improve, of course. Drivers know they've got to be out inside the last minute and a half, really, to feel like they got something. Warboys can only manage an 8-1 there on that lap, so still can't improve. Andrew Dyson has improved further, though, to a 1:07.7, so gives a little bit more margin. There's the 08 making a run over towards the line there. No real improvement there from the 08, but here's Thomas Freeman, number 1, trying to make as much of this track as possible there, through the bomb hole corner, using all of the road, trying to get it through to Coram. And you're dancing on this knife's edge because it is just completely grass everywhere you go. One small mistake here and you're going to be off for a very, very long time here at Snetterton.
Yeah, certainly, Sperry. This track will punish you for a very small mistake, as Thomas Freeman will cross the line. Will he improve is the question. He goes P1. Thomas Freeman.
P2.
Oh, P2, sorry. P2. So Thomas Freeman just a 10th off. He has jumped Blake Warboys for position number 2. Sorry, Sperry. Got a bit excited. I saw seeing the wrong numbers. So Dyson still has 1/10 over the field, but looks like they're done for the session. At least Thomas Freeman and Michael Talianchich in the 777 machine. He'll put down another up, a 1:08.1. That should jump him up once again to position number 7.
Well, it should have done, but he's actually gone. We've got it down to 1:08.3. So that'll actually be a jump up into 7th place above Brendan Nietzsche, but no further than that out there overall. There is the beautifully white and pink machine there of SimShed running through into the final corner. looking to get some drive off, and Luke Swan, who is 10th fastest on a 108.5, is going to come to the line and does set another 108.5, but doesn't go quick enough. He was the last driver over the line, so checkered flag out then in session. Drivers will all be looking to improve. No improvement for the likes of PJ Whiteman. Off the road will go Luke Swan, so will not improve. Last driver then will be Thomas Freeman. Varndale, Mulford, all out there who's trying to put some times. Jai Schultz might be searching for something as well. Seb Varndale would absolutely need to improve on lap time. He's currently in 6th position, and when he knows he's second in the championship in this early stage, he can't afford to be dropping too many points too quickly, and he's got to stay in range of Andrew Dyson, who has been the fastest once again here, flicking through the right. Jai Schultz, by the way, has moved up to 12th fastest there with that lap time, so a good time from Jai. Here's Varndale looking to make a run towards the line, needs to improve by at least a 1/10 of a second, and has Varndale found it over this lap time? Answer is an 8.2. He's improved by just 1,000th of a second only. So that's all he could manage. That's all he could find. Let's get a look, though, at our starting grid here from the Snetterton 200 circuit here in what is beautiful, beautiful Snetterton, Norfolk, here in the United Kingdom in its virtual setting here on iRacing. Andrew Dyson, then, will set the fastest time, a 107.783, and will be fastest by just a shade over a 1/10 of a second. We'll have the number 1 of Thomas Freeman alongside for the ride. Blake Warboys and Michael Whiting will go on the second row of the grid, with Sebastian Varndale in 6th position behind Blake Delaney, who lines up in 5th place. 7th on the grid then will be the 777 car of Michael Taliancic. Maybe some luck with the numbers today, with Brenton Nishka in 8th place. Brody Sentence and Luke Swan will be the drivers who round out the top 10. Tim Mulford and Jai Schultz, they'll be on row 6 of the grid, with Andy Barber starting in 13th. And after retirement last time out, Teo Sorono wants to make amends on that. He is in 14th. You get your Super Sport drivers then in 15th and 16th. Ty Delaney taking the pole there ahead of Martin Hallinan, with Luke Crum and Matthew Shanahan then on row 9 of the grid. Jack Anderson will have Tom Pritchard for company, with Will Jesberg and Chris Tomlin on row number 11, with John Fillingham in 23rd and Troy Mortensen in 24th position. Aidan Schultz, Kobe Jordan, Shane Nowens and PJ Whiteman make the last drivers then of the 28 car grid that we will have here today. And there is the famous tree there, the Snetterton tree, which was blown down a couple of years ago. So they struggled to put that back together to where it needs to be. But they know that they've got 47 laps to figure out who can be the winner here. And this is a very, very difficult start to the racing, Brady, because it is classically tight off of the starting grids to get moving forward into racing.
Yeah, certainly it's where you hit the nail right on the head. There's not much room, nice and tight, and a very fast flowing turn number 1 as well, and then a very hard braking slow corner into turn 2 and very tight into turn 3. So it's certainly going to be interesting. May see some action here off the start. We'll have to see. Hopefully it's all clean, and it's a long race. 47 laps, a long way around this small track. So hopefully the guys are ready to go and put on some great racing for us to watch.
Yep, so some good racing on offing. And I'm sure this is going to be one very important run. They've even got a red telephone booth over there on the right-hand side. So if you need to call someone, that is there. But these drivers know that they are ready. Green flag drops then, and we are underway. A lot of wheel spin from Blake Warboys, though, from 3rd position on the grid. He is going to be swallowed up by the pack as they run to Rich's corner for the first time and try and pivot their way forward. So not the start that Warboys wanted. Brenton Nishka will let him go on the outside, but immediately they race through. Varndale's got a good start. He's got up the inside of Michael Whiting, picks up the place. They now run through turn 3, little wide going through there when Blake Delaney, that's going to open things up. But crucially, it's a clean start as they've all got themselves through and forward, but a nice start there for the top 2 who are breaking away in these early stages.
Yeah, fantastic start. Everyone to get through so cleanly through that tight part of the racetrack. Fantastic job to all drivers. And like you said, Dyson and Freeman have already checked out just a little bit on P3, Blake Delaney, who's jumped up already 2 positions. Same as Sebastian Vandal, he's already up 2 spots. Early on the race, as Blake Wallboys, like you mentioned, Sperry, down back to 7th after starting 3rd in this race. So disappointing start for Wallboys. He'll be on the skates and try and make that ground back up.
Might get a chance right now. He gets a good run through the final corner, and this might open him up against Michael Taliancic here. Try and figure out, he'll have to go the long way around at Rich's corner, trying to use the horsepower of that Ford Mustang, and Taliancic is going to abandon stage left. He'll go straight on, he'll hit the tyres going through the opening corner. He'll crucially be able to go through, but cold tyres, find your braking point at turn number 1. And ultimately, Taliancic, that car just did not want to slow down and did not want to turn.
No, certainly. It looks like Michael just missed his braking marker massively there. As we look back to live pictures, Michael Whiting looking down the inside of Vandal here, 4th position in the number 4 machine, the 025, trying to go around the outside, not really going to get the job done there. So Vandal uses him up on exit, and that will open the door for Wallboys just a little bit.
Well, Wallboys gets a bit of a wiggle, so he can't quite get it through. Vandal, little wide through the bomb hole corner. Crucially can cover it up at Coram. There's not enough room there, really, in terms of straightage to move to the inside. Brody Sentence sitting on the back as well, figuring out, okay, when's the right time to strike in these opening stages of this race. But immediately you can just sense there's a bit of nervousness around that. This is a track where you have to be on your marks, and crucially for Sebastian Vandal, I think he's on a damage limitation style drive today, because he knows that the top 3 are a lot quicker and he's looking in his mirrors more rather than looking forward.
Yeah, certainly Vandal certainly has his mirrors filled with Whiting, Wallboy, Sentis, Nishka, Mulford all as well right behind him. So there's 5 cars on his tail, and he's got 2 seconds ahead to Delaney. So looks like Vandal just doesn't quite have the pace at the moment.
It's trouble for Matthew Shanahan at turn 2. He's facing the wrong way, and he's only just managed to get himself back going again. We take a look a little bit aerially there and see how that's all come about. But Matthew Shanahan, who was up in 19th position, was racing hard with Matthew Hallinan out there. So troubles there towards the rear. And you are going to have to see drivers try and push, try and be aggressive, try and figure out where the right place to move is. And because this is a traditional touring car style track, you'd definitely say here, Brady, it does have that ability to say, right, elbows out, let's go race it.
Yeah, certainly that's the style of racing it's definitely going to produce. You've got to be a little bit aggressive, get your elbows out and just get moves done, because the passing opportunities are a little bit tighter here. As you said, we said earlier, it's a very tight race track. As we see, White, a little bit of a mistake. Vandal, wide, he's going to lose 2 positions here. Wallboy's going to swallow him up. Vandal looks like he'll just hang on to the position, but Whiting gets through on Vandal to be number 4.
Yeah, and turn 1, just out of nowhere, the mistake. We'll take a look, bottom of your screen. This is what happened then through turns 1 and 2. So trying to get the move through, slipping up underneath, absolutely fantastic. But it's when they get to turn 2 and a complete miss on the brakes, has to lock it up and spin it round. And fortunately enough, nobody else really got connected in that. So a minor miracle there going through, but not what you want to see. This machinery, it's very easy to lock up that rear axle. And when you've only got that one section to really work with, it is going to make life really difficult for you, because you know that the car at any point can lock up, and those rears are so important in this machinery.
Yeah, so the car is usually pretty nervous around this track the entire lap. You never really settled around this racetrack, and we'll see drivers be making those small mistakes and definitely get punished for it, as we've seen Vandal did the last time by, and obviously Shanahan as well. So this track's definitely catching out the best of them.
Certainly is. So those drivers are there. Andrew Dyson, Thomas Freeman split by 0.8 of a second at the front, down to just 0.6 of a second as they rally through the middle of the lap. And it's getting a little bit congested here with the likes of Michael Taliancic trying to make his way back through the field. That's Sean Fillingham just in front of him. Adrian Schultz just in front of that. Schultz has gone through on this lap and made the place. But here comes Taliancic then to make the move. Confidence on the inside, big lockup. Oh, a huge amount of smoke there from Michael Taliancic. My word, he was on the binders, had the 11s, 8s and a halves out there trying to get that stopped, and he managed it.
Yeah, it's certainly a huge moment there for Talliantage on the recovery drive after that lap 2 turn 1 mistake, and he's down with the Super Sport drivers, probably not where he really wants to be right now, and he's trying to get through the field. He certainly really wants probably a safety car to try and bunch the field back up, because he's a long way from where he should be. So we'll see some interesting driving certainly from Talliantage as we go to the replay of his little big lockup. Like you said, Sperry had all 4 locked up and got the move done, luckily.
He did get the move done. Blake Warboys, by the way, very nearly turned Sebastian Varndell through turn 3. So we very nearly had a moment there for one driver who's very close in the championship picture. So there is Blake Warboys, and he knows he's got to try and find a way through, but he knows he's got to try and find a way through the right way and not necessarily turn in front of him, the number 4, who is second in the championship overall. Here's the look then at it through turn 2. On the brakes going forward, that's how easily you can make contact there, trying to stay nice and narrow. Varndell slightly on a different line, gets a little push, and all of a sudden it's just opened up that gap to Michael Whiting. And the one thing you don't want to be is outside of a second when you've got 2 dueling straight, so to say here, Brady, with the run into turn 1 and the run into turn 4.
Yeah, certainly you do want to try and be on the back of somebody, just try and get a little bit of a draft assistance on this track to stay in touch in through the tight corners. And like you said, Varndell just dropped off the back of Whiting just a little bit, so Varndell will have to try and be looking behind once again, because Warboys looks like he has a little bit more pace on Varndell, and we're looking for the right opportunity to try and get by.
We'll be looking for it, flicking through the left-hand bend there of Brundle into Nelson. Trying to get enough off of the exit, nothing really doing. There's a change for position as the number 30 of Luke Crum will then see Tom Pritchard move through. That is not for category position there. The Sky Point racing car makes the pass and goes forward. Still, it's currently Ty Delaney, who's just a little bit further down the road, who is the leader of that Supersport category right now, and is actually in an interesting battle here with Jai Schultz and Teo Sorono and Luke Swan just in front. So it's an interesting scenario right now where you've got those drivers just outside the top 10, I'm going to say, all thinking they've got themselves a really good opportunity. And speaking of opportunity, there is number 73 of Shane Nowens, who's in a race right now with Will Jesberg and Aiden Schultz.
Yeah, certainly these Supersport drivers there, they got a lot to fight for, as well as Jesberg looks down the inside at turn number 1. Oh, the door closes there from Nowens. Very close to contact there with Nowens and Jesberg. They get through cleanly, and Jesberg will try and have to line him up again. Didn't quite get the job done under brakes there into turn 1, as Nowens misses the apex just a little bit, and will open the door up for Jesberg once again going to turn 4.
Yeah, but Jesper's got to get to the inside and pivot on this long Bentley straight here. It's going to be a really important left, but he'll be on the wrong side for the Nelson corner. He's later on the brakes through. You can see the rear brake discs glowing as they run through. And crucially, oh, that's a massive incident behind there. Absolutely massive hit that's gone through, and there's not much that Troy Mortensen can say or do more about that. Kobe Jordan wiped out in that hit, and that is how quickly it can go wrong. And for Troy Mortensen, they're a big hit, and I'm sure that the stewards will have a good look at that. There, though, still is Blake Warboys, and he's been really trying to get past Sebastian Varndell, and he's just not been able to find it.
SLA Warboys just hasn't quite had enough to get the job done on Varndell, and Whiting's maintaining the gap and even checking out just a little bit on the number 4 machine. So Warboys just going to be a little bit patient here. If we don't have a safety car period, it's really come down to strategy and who pits first.
Yeah, we will do, and still the search is there as Warboys tries to figure out, can he make a pass? Can he find a way through on Seb Varndell? At the moment, the answer's no. Really, he's going to have to try and maximize the final corner and get some drive. We'll take another little look at it. This is how quickly it goes wrong, and up over the anti-cut curve. At that point, he's a passenger at that section of track. Just overcooked it slightly on entry, and that is where the trouble started. Warboys looking to get a run through Rich's corner towards turn 2 of Wilson, where he has been pretty strong on the brakes, just outbrakes himself slightly, but gets it nicely gathered through the middle. Drive-through penalty comes through then for car 23. So Troy Mortensen at the back of the field will take a penalty moving forward. But again, Warboys can't quite get the move, and it's getting... Oh, it's got busy right in the background. It's got really busy in the background. That's Jai Schultz in trouble. That's Teo Sorono in trouble then as they fought off the exit of turn 3. It looked like Jai Schultz had made a mistake, had got wide, and then the two made contact, and Schultz getting sent heavily into the Armco.
Yeah, certainly, Spirit. Just having a look on the replay there. We're going to get the iRacing replay on screen now, and Jai Schultz, like you said, made a little bit of a mistake there and ran wide, and Sorono tried to take the advantage, come past him, and looks like just a very awkward contact, maybe a little bit of net code in that contact, and unfortunately Schultz very hard into the fence. Going to be some massive damage. He is parked on second at the moment trying to get the car going. As we look at the VRS replay, as we see, runs a little bit wide, Sorono gets the run, a little bit of just awkward side-to-side contact, and Schultz very hard on the wall. It looks like the engine has blown on the 27 machine, so he'll be trying to get back into the pits.
He won't get back. He won't get back. This will be a safety car, surely, because the engine's gone, and he is stuck at about 12 kilometers an hour right now. He's going to have to pull that car over, and that will be a safety car, mark my words, because that's not a million miles from the racing surface, just on the inside of the bomb hole corner. So I think we are going to have, and yes, safety car is deployed, and that will neutralize the front of the race, where Andrew Dyson and Thomas Freeman had been running pretty much in station at that point in time. So we've got ourselves a safety car here, and crucially, it was right before the lapping process as well. So number 41, Andrew Dyson, is your race leader, but the race neutralized after Jai Schultz's engine gave way, and that hit with the barriers that was there for Jai Schultz absolutely left the oil leaking out the back of the car, and at that point, not enough oil for the engine to make its way around. We'll take another look. You can see he's on the brakes all the way through, runs it a bit deep, goes through then the next right-hander. Sorono absolutely pinches him down, and just the smallest bit of contact. Maybe you could say as well some net code there, Brady, but that is a really unfortunate incident for Jai Schultz.
Yeah, very unfortunate. There was really not much in that at all, and we'll go back to live pitches. Only 3 cars, it looks like, 4 cars, have not pitted under that safety car. So Dyson, the leader, Troy Mortensen, Ty Delaney, and Michael Talianchich have all not pitted. Freeman, Delaney, Whiting, Varndell all have pitted. Interesting to note, the fuel window is about 26 to 27 laps of fuel with the 66 litre fuel tank. So these guys will have to pit again. So I think Dyson's actually made the right call by staying out, because he's still only going to make 1 stop.
Well, now I'm going to have to turn around to this one here with you, Brady, because it's a free stop for those drivers. They can get fresh tyres, so that's 10 laps, 12 laps fresher tyres that they have available to them. And on top of that, you could argue as well that while they still have to make a stop when they come back in, they are making a shorter stop as they go through compared to what they would have done if they're on full fuel tank. So I think they've cut down the margin of how big of a stop they have to make. It's not really cost them much track position. And the drivers who have stayed out here in this one, who have had to come in, you've got Andrew Dyson, who's there, and I believe Thomas Freeman was one of the first drivers who had a look at pitting under those conditions. And I think you just got to be really, really clever about how you go through with it. Michael Talianchich is now right back up in the order because of that cycle that's gone through, and is now back up into 4th position. So he's got to make a full stop. I think for Andrew Dyson and for Ty Delaney, who are up there, and in fact, at this moment, Delaney actually did make a fall backwards through the field. So Ty then, who did make his stop, then drops back down, who is in for the 07, so has decided. I think it leaves Andrew Dyson vulnerable. He's going to have to run here, and it becomes a very awkward position for him here. Dyson's got to build a gap. He's got to build a gap to give himself enough time in the stop.
Yeah, certainly, Sperry. You do make a very good point, and like you said, Thomas Freeman will have fresher tyres. The only thing he's got to worry about is trying to get past Talianchich and Mortensen as well, while Dyson can build that gap. So it's going to be a very interesting strategic battle here Like you said, a little bit less fuel to go back in for Freeman, Delaney, Whiting as such, and Dyson will have to pretty much fill right back up at his pit stop. So, like you said, it's going to be a very interesting battle, and yeah, Dyson might just have a little bit of trouble on his hands.
Well, the race will restart this lap. They just had to let through one bit of lap traffic in the form of Troy Mortensen to get his lap back. But there are a couple big gainers here from this pit stop, Brady, and one of them is number 028, Martin Hallinan, then has given himself about 5 cars in his Super Sport Challenge for Twisted Key.
Yeah, certainly, and we just got reports Hallinan has not pitted yet. So that's why he has all the track position. Ty Delaney was the leader of the Super Sport category and has took his pit stop, 1 lap later. So that's probably going to put him way behind the 8 ball. And looks like Luke Crum is the effective race leader of the Super Sport category as we look to go racing very shortly.
Top 2 in this field are due to make a longer stop than the likes of Thomas Freeman, Blake Delaney behind. This is a very important phase of the race where Andrew Dyson, that Simrigs.com DPR car, to make sure that DPR continue their 100% start to the season, will have to run away and build a gap to those behind. Caught on the wrong side of the strategy ball, but running through Murray's corner, trying to get that drive off the exit. He gets a fantastic launch compared to the 777 of the veteran Michael Taliancic. And we're back to green flag running here on lap 13 at the Snetterton 200 circuit. On board, number 1, Fishy Motorsport then, of Thomas Freeman, running through the richest corner for the first time, and knowing that this is important now to stay within range of these drivers in front. The tyres will be cold and they will have to be brought up to temperature, but crucially, it's that extra tyre life that's going to be there. Andy Barber makes the move around Martin Hallinan, and it's getting really close in the back. A lot of smoke as they go through. Who was that running wide? Look there around like Jack Anderson or co. There, that was Shanahan who was running wide, and everyone now looking for a bit of drive off the exit. PJ Whiteman now in a little bit of trouble with Shanahan closing, but it is a clean start once again.
Yeah, certainly everyone got through the first couple very tight corners very cleanly, and we've seen a little bit of disparity between guys that did not pit and some guys that did pit with tyre life, so it'll certainly be interesting. We will note that Freeman hasn't really made it in on Taliancic's up front at all, so it looks like Dyson's built a little bit of a gap already out front, so very good there for Dyson in his terms of trying to build that bit of a gap to Thomas Freeman. As we look at Martin Hallinan, one guy we did say did not pit under safety car, so he's really under pressure here from Luke Swan in the Super Pro category.
Yeah, and every position matters, and I think even more so. Oh, trouble! Brody Sentence finds himself off the road. The number 60, almost trying to find the cornfields as he runs through. He'll come back out, and he'll come back out behind Luke Crum. So that's definitely not the way you want turn 1 to go. We're in really hot conditions. In fact, he got a tap from Blake Warboys at the fastest point on the circuit there. So that would have been really scary for Brody Sentence. It's amazing he didn't hit anything there at turn 1.
Yeah, it was a fantastic save there from Sentence. Contact at 170 kilometers an hour with Warboys there. That's certainly going to be looked at. As we see on the iRacing replay, just a little bit, Warboys just couldn't get the job done at turn 1 and put Sentence off the track. A massive effort to not get in the wall there, but he's lost a massive amount of positions.
He has lost a massive amount of positions, and that's going to mean that he's got more work to do. Michael Taliancic, though, has lost 2 seconds already to Andrew Dyson, who's got the bit between his teeth here today. Thomas Freeman has struggled to find a way through. Blake Delaney there just behind as well, on the brakes again, into the Wilson corner at turn 2, looking to drive off the exit at 3, and then the run on the Bentley straight. If you're going to find a pass, this is the place to do it. Now, one thing we do need to note is how much tyre life does Michael Taliancic have in those fronts, because he was locking it up and sending it pretty much everywhere he possibly could. Warboys will get a drive-through penalty, but around the outside goes Thomas Freeman, and he gets the place. He's up to second. He's broken the bottleneck.
Now, certainly a very impressive move around the outside there from the number 1 of Freeman. Just shows that tyre life difference compared to Taliancic. He had the drive to go right around the outside, a very difficult part of the racetrack, and now that will leave Talliantic exposed to the rest of the fishing brigade and Delaney, Whiting, then back to Varndale and Warboys, who now comes in to serve his drive-through penalty. But these three behind Talliantic, they want to get the skates on real quick to try and not lose too much to Thomas Freeman.
No, that's very true. Freeman has eyes of grandeur as he'll be looking towards Dyson Warboys. It'll be a long run up the hill. But now here comes the search then to the inside. Oh, big contact there. Michael Talliantic clocks it in the side from Blake Delaney going through. That could have been so much worse, and Delaney immediately redresses the position. In fact, he'll lose one for the redress as he goes through. He apologises over the radio as well. Seb Varndale's going to pick up a freebie for it as they head in through the right. But now it's ultimately going to be a tough one because they all want to make that move. Turn 2 is the slowest place on the circuit. If you're going to make a pass, that's where you're going to have to do it on the brakes. But as he gets it slowed up, he couldn't find a way to get it stopped and ultimately has to use 777 as a bit of a buffer.
Yeah, certainly it looks like Delaney just looked the reeds there, didn't quite get it pulled up in time, and unfortunately used a big hip and shoulder on Talliantic there. Good thing he did redress, so there won't be any more penalties coming his way. He can get his head down now and try and get the positions back, but also that gives a little bit of breathing room to Thomas Freeman as we see Brody's sentence in the number 6 machine in the woes once again.
And that's at the final corner, and it was 2 offs there actually in the final corner. So firstly, off the road goes Martin Hallinan, makes his own mistake, but then Brody Sentence just gets turned by Luke Crum. This is a very unique moment. So there is the VNM Solutions car. That's just clumsy. Just into the back through the final corner. It's never really an overtaking opportunity. Maybe on the last lap you got a chance to search, but for Luke, who did sit up and wait for Brody's sentence, so lost all the places with him, not necessarily what you want out there. There again is Michael Talliantic, who has now seen Sebastian Varndale go through and move up another place. So move Talliantic back down into 5th position. This is where it's going to be the phase of the race that hurts them. The 2-1-2 now off the road. So that's Chris Tomlin in a bit of trouble there at the Nelson corner.
Yeah, certainly we've seen a few more mistakes from drivers. Maybe that safety car period just everyone lost their rhythm because we've seen a massive amount of mistakes since that safety car period as we see PJ Whiteman in pits for the Supersport category, but Freeman slowly making ground on Andrew Dyson, which is the important battle in this entire race, Barry.
Oh, he was trying. He nearly lost the back end on the grass outside of Turn 1 Richards corner, so that could have been trouble for him. But Blake Delaney now with maybe a chance on Michael Talliantic as they race about then in the in-sim time, early afternoon, 3 o'clock, 3:05 right now here in Norfolk, flicking through the left and the right, getting right up underneath that rear spoiler. If you can get a drive off Nelson, you might have a chance at the bomb hole corner. You can see that drop down the hill and then back away again. They go through as they now look towards Coram Corner, the long sweeping right, the white fishy machine, trying to figure out which way can I make the pass on that Pursuit Sim Racing car. The answer is can't quite make it just yet, so he's going to have to sit down here on lap 19. We haven't really talked too much about it, but track temperature here today is 38 degrees, and this is ideal right now for those drivers who took those 10 to 12 lap pressure tyres out there, because they now know that they've got a big advantage when it comes to what they've got to work with. And there is 151, John Fillingham, who is now already your leader of Super Sport category.
Yes, Sperry, and that is right. We did not touch on that at all. The last 2 weeks we've had sub 30 degree track temps, so the tyre wear has been a little bit lower. This week, nearly up into the 40s. So, like you said, Thomas Freeman, that's an even bigger advantage for him over Andrew Dyson. With a hotter track temp, the newer tyres will be making a bit more of a difference compared to the worn tyres, as we see Delaney trying to get back on Talliantic once again after that little mistake a couple laps ago. They'll have a little look down the inside. Definitely not going to get it done there as this long sweeping right-hander, and they'll get ready for Murray's little bit of a lock-up again for Delaney. He's lost it once again. Very good save there from Delaney. Look, the rears once again. The same mistake he made a couple laps ago that got him into Talliantic. Made the same mistake once again, locking the rears, and Nishka will drive past, get the position.
He wanted that move. He looked for it on the inside. He had a wiggle, actually. Just as he was grabbing the brakes, the car stepped out a little bit, so he had to get right on the binders to avoid getting into the back of Talyancic for a second time in this race. He has fallen now behind the juiced machine of Brenton Nishka. So Nishka has gone through in the 066, now up into 6th position, but God, it isn't half a case here for Blake Delaney of trying to hold on to it. He'll come back up the inside then towards Brundle corner, and he will again get pinched on that inside, nowhere to go. And as they hold each other up, pretty much like trying to wade through treacle, Tim Mulford says, oh, how you doing? I'm up 3 places. I might want to be up 5.
Yeah, certainly Mulford, and Delaney drops the left rear on the grass once again. So little mistakes creeping into Delaney's race at the moment. After that contact with Talyancic, he's just creeping in a few mistakes, and Mulford right there to try and capitalise on him once again if he makes another mistake.
And that extra mistake is going to be key. Every mistake, one after the other after the other. You don't want to be caught up in them. And for Blake Delaney, he's just got to have a couple laps with his head down so he doesn't get caught up in any issues. Thomas Freeman, by the way, is worth a chat as we look at the 028. This is a great battle right now for your super sport category lead. Fillingham and Hallinan. Hallinan, of course, has to make a longer stop in the pits, and Brody Sentence is going to have to try and wade his way past both of them. He'll get a run out of riches and will go, thank you very and much down the inside. Not much you can argue about that. That's place made. But crucially, what I've been looking at the race lead is that gap's coming down about 0.2 of a second every single lap here for Thomas Freeman. He's using the tyre life properly, and he knows that that phase is going to switch for the Fishy Motorsport driver the moment Andrew Dyson has to make his stop.
Yeah, certainly. And Freeman doing some really, really nice laps there at the moment, making more ground. And Grant and Dyson another 2.5 tenths that time by the gap down to 1.6 seconds. So Freeman certainly doing the right things at the moment with looks like 24 laps remaining. So Freeman certainly doing a really good job, and we'll have to wait and see when the second round of pit stops for him and Andrew Dyson's one and only pit stop is only about 2 or 3 laps away.
Absolutely right. Can't go much further as we are reaching right now the halfway stage of the race here at Snetterton. Andrew Dyson, number 41, your race leader, with Thomas Freeman second and Michael Whiting currently in 3rd place. Sebastian Varndale is 4th with Michael Talyancic 5th and Brendan Nitschke in 6th position out on circuit. We look a little bit further down through, and this is what happened earlier on, and that's a big hit on the curb. Was able to keep it out of trouble there. That was the 219 the 212 of Tomlin there potentially. Got caught up then in a little, sorry, no, that's 319. Yeah, that's Jack Anderson, the 319, sorry, that got caught up in that. And very easy to do then, because you've got to be on a dime through turn 4 into 5, through Brundle going forward. And in fact, we just had another car just do that, because Christopher Tomlin has just done exactly the same thing. You can see him there. Oh, keep it in a straight line. He's going to have to wait for everyone to go through, and that's the awkward bit.
Yeah, certainly, Spear. It's probably one of the most awkward corners and one of the hardest corners on the track. In my limited laps here, just testing and playing around, and it's certainly very hard trying to get the car stopped while turning up and under brakes. So it's very difficult corner as we go. The iRacing replay of Tomlin just locks it up, gets on the front, goes wide and off. It's a very easy mistake to do.
And has to be careful. He's not going to damage the front there, and that could be troublesome. It's going to dive in and get a pit stop sorted. And well, why not at this stage? Get yourself the final run then to the end of the race. That gap, though, it's now down to just 1.2 seconds. Andrew Dyson will be looking behind, and he'll be seeing a number 1 Hurricane absolutely flying towards him right now. 108.7 compared to another 109 flat from Andrew Dyson. And Dyson knows he needed to make time. He did so very well, but he is looking at that pit stop soon. And I think he's going to have to make it sooner rather than later if he wants to go and win this race. And that's what he's got to think about. Either A, winning this race, or B, what's going on behind. Unusual here with the pit stops as well, as Andy Barber comes in then to the box and makes a stop. It is unusual here with the pit stops because running up through the pit stalls, it's uphill and there's some staggering that goes through a couple of places. So you're right down at the bottom of the pit, so to speak. If you run up over the pit stalls, as a lot of drivers tend to do, it's a very bumpy ride as you go up.
Yeah, it's certainly a very old school pit lane and very old school racetrack, Sperry, as you said. And Freeman, he's doing the right things and he's making some good ground on Dyson as we go to Sorono and Luke Swan battling for P number 9 at the moment. Sorono, a little mistake before there with Schultz. That was deemed no further action, by the way, folks. And Luke Swan, the number 55 machine in the Sim Shed Iridium Sim Sports Ford Mustang, doing very well. Stay on the back of Sorono, and a really good result for both Sorono and Swan at the moment inside the top 10.
Yep, so they're both inside the top 10. There is still work to be done, though, and in comes Swan to make his stop. So Luke Swan is going to decide now's the time. He wants to get himself on the run to the end of the race, and it's going to be about feel for a lot of drivers. Most will try and run the tank dry to make their final stop, so expect maybe inside the final 10 laps or so might be the right time. But for Thomas Freeman, as he pushes slightly wide coming through Nelson Corner, he's just got to stay there with Andrew Dyson. Doesn't have to make the pass on circuit, and that's going to be a crucial fact that Andrew Dyson's going to have to deal with his race, as wide goes Fillingham on the brakes, the 151, and all of a sudden he is going to wake up to the fact that there is going to be a certain Mr. Luke Crum in the number 30 who wants to try and make his way through for second position in class, who is not going to be in a position right now under the entrance to the circuit to make the pass. He's going to have to stay patient. He's going to have to wait because there are chances aplenty later on. And this is the move that changed the category lead, because through the opening corner, very easy to do, just dipping it a little bit too quickly through the opening corner.
Yeah, certainly just ran a little bit wide there, filling him in the 151 machine, and now he's under pressure from Crun, the early leader in the Supersport category. And I still think Helen and Fillingham may still have to pit in this race and take on some more field compared to Luke Crum, who is the effective leader in class, as we see Troy Mortensen come out of the pits to take his pit stop. And like you said before, Sperry, back to Andrew Dyson, he will have to pit, I reckon, soon as possible to try and get a little bit of advantage, as Freeman's tyres will start to heat up now. He needs to take the advantage of some fresh tyres, try and make some ground back up and make an in-string race up front.
Well, in comes Andrew Dyson then, your race leader, and he absolutely has to make this stop work and hope that he isn't going to come out in a little bit of traffic. It's going to be a massively important stop when it comes to tyres, when it comes to fuel. He'll be followed in by Michael Taliancic here on lap 27. They've absolutely run it dry as they've gone through and made their stops. There's your new race leader, number 1, and he is Thomas Freeman. So he's got that work that he's got to try and do, and he will now be chasing. And actually, PJ Whiteman's in trouble down at 2-1, and safety car is deployed for PJ Whiteman, who is off the road, and that is a massive, massive moment in terms of this. Whiteman will just about be able to get the car sorted again, but they have thrown the safety car. So Whiteman then with a massive off at turn 1. We are under caution conditions right now, and that was, I think, the best possible decision that has gone through for number 1 of Thomas Freeman. He'll be able to get a free pit stop on the books, and he'll get the track position back in terms of where he needs to be compared to Andrew Dyson and Michael Taliancic.
Yeah, certainly, Spear. 100% agree. As we go to the VRS replay, have a look at Whiteman in the 25 machine. Go up to turn 1. Looks like he just lost the rear. Massive moment for Whiteman. Into the sand trap. Will he make the wall? Yes, he did. In front contact. Maybe a premature call on the safety car, if that was the call. And we're just hearing that he did stall the car and he was going to be stuck there. So that was the reason for the safety car call, as Freeman now comes out of the pits. Where is Andrew Dyson? He's coming around the final corner. Dyson may drop a few more spots here. There goes Freeman. There goes Whiting. On the exit, Whiting will get P number 2 on Dyson on exit. So now that Dyson's back in third, he's going to have to pass some cars, and most importantly, it's pretty much heads up to the end now. Everyone's on the same tyre life.
Everyone is, and that is big in terms of this race as they've gone through. So Thomas Freeman is your race leader. Michael Whiting in second. Andrew Dyson tried to do everything. He's in third. And suddenly we'll have car 4 behind him in Sebastian Varndale. And that's going to be big, absolutely big for the final phase of this race. It's going to be a flat-out sprint to the end of this one. And these drivers will know and understand that every single lap that will tick through in the final stages of this race, there is no pit stop and strategy that's going to get them back there. They are going to have to do it purely on strategy. And Andrew Dyson's going to have a lap older tyres compared to everyone else around them who had to make that second stop, of course, by the nature of the pitting phase. So that's going to be the crucial bit of work that they've all got to do. They've all got to go around. They'll probably get at least one more lap under safety car conditions. And this is how close it is they go through. So Andrew Dyson, they're racing to that white line, the merge line. And crucially, bang, there. He's ahead by, I would say, 0.2 of a second, 0.3 of a second. Brady, he gets out ahead.
Yeah, barely even that, spare. He's very, very close indeed. So not much in it as we see another car appear on the pits. I think that is Shanahan in the 17.
Lap
so
down.
He is a lap down, so he'll be taking some more repairs and going back out on track. But like you said, Dyson, not much in it at all. And everyone's on the same strategy now, and it's pretty much going to be a heads-up race to the end. The one benefit that Freeman has, he's got a teammate in between him and Dyson, so it's certainly going to be a fantastic race to finish as we have about 17 laps to go at the moment. We could be going green very shortly.
We very much can do. Now, in terms of Super Sport as well, because this is worth talking about, Luke Crum holds control of category. John Fillingham is in second, and Will Jesberg is currently third. In the midst of all of that is Blake Warboys in 17th position, so he'll be having to try and go through. And getting the lap back then will be Troy Mortensen. So Mortensen will get his lap back and be trying to go. And you can see the scraping on the side of some of these Holdens and Mustangs they've gone around. This has been a really tough battleground here for racing. And it's been close racing because this is one of those unique circuits. It's a little bit narrower. You've got to be effectively dancing on the limits. And this layout of the circuit has been around for forever and a year when it's come to Snetterton.
Yeah, certainly it's being 100% right. The car is never settled on this racetrack. The car moves around a lot, under brakes and on the straights. You've got to get your moves done and commit to it. You've got to get your elbows out. So definitely watch out for the 41 of Dyson. He's certainly been the class act all night tonight, in my opinion, last week as well. So Dyson will certainly be looking to get the move done early on the 025 of Whiting and try and chase down Thomas Freeman, and we'll certainly have a fantastic finish to the end as it looks like the lights are out on the safety car, the Mercedes-Benz GT4. Beautiful looking safety car there, Sperry, and looks like we'll be going green this time by with 17 laps remaining.
Well, there is a little bit of troubles out there for likes of maybe Andy Barber. We'll keep an eye out on those. He goes through, he's really struggling out there with his connection out there. He's got a 1,083 ping, so keep an eye out on him. He might be about to drop from session if he's not too careful. But it is Thomas Freeman who's got control. Michael Whiting, Yo 25. It's Fishy 1-2 at the moment, but are they going to want to play for spoils at this stage? Through the final corner, and Freeman, he's pretty surprised by how much of a gap he's got. He might as well look at that. So still out there on circuit, so thought we were going to go back to green flag running. We are not, so we are still under caution period. So they are still trying to sort things out, because I think maybe PJ Whiteman was in the middle of everything and hadn't been allowed his wave around on track. Of course, the driver who did bring out this safety car, so they have to go another lap because not everybody has been advanced through, and that would have been a very, very awkward scenario if not everybody had got themselves that run around and the run through.
Yeah, certainly, I didn't think I was seeing things there with the lights out. We're in the safety car and he did pull away, but looking now, Whiteman is right in the middle of the field and 2 laps down, so looks like Race Call will certainly be advising Whiteman to do his thing, probably go past the field, and hopefully we can go racing very shortly.
Yeah, That is going to be crucial. So PJ will now get his wave around. He will be told pass on the left. So all drivers will hold to the left-hand side. Allow through PJ Whiteman, who will now zoom on away from the safety car, which is out there, who is in an AMG GT4 here today. The normal safety car here around this circuit. It's a BMW, so nice to see an AMG GT4 out there as the safety car for racing here today. But Freeman, Whiting, Dyson, Varndell, Delaney, your top 5. And this needs to be a very committed restart here today. Taking a look then from the safety car, who is tootling around and having a nice drive here. 71 or 70 kilometers an hour, flicking through the right. And will get the call. You may now pull away from the rest of the field and will manage to do so. Which leaves once again Thomas Freeman in control of the field and looking to try and make as much of a run as possible of it right now. Can he get the start that he wants to now move away in this 47 lap race? We are on lap 31. When we get back to racing, we will start lap 32 here of this race, and there are drivers up, down, and all around who know that they absolutely want this race to go the way they want. And already the hold-up starts, and it hold up absolutely. It's perfect from Michael Whiting. They're going to play the team game there at Fishy as we get the green flag back in the air, and Andrew Dyson can't pass until the start-finish line. He'll move to the inside of Michael Whiting, and he'll absolutely launch it under brakes in the opening corner at Riches, and he's gone from rags to riches and now up into second position. Has to cover the line at turn 2, and allows Seb Varndell then to look around the outside. Might have the inside at turn 3, but he can't get any drive off the exit, and they stay as is. Dyson gets the run, but now he's got to make the gap.
Yeah, certainly. I said Dyson needed to make the move earlier. I didn't expect him to do it at turn 1. Fantastic move under brakes for Dyson. We look in the background, Delaney having a look at Varndell on the inside, can't quite get the job done there. And like you said, Dyson now needs to chase after Freeman, who's built a little bit of a gap now, so it's going to be heads up, Freeman v Dyson. And for the last podium position, it's going to be all heads on. Luke Crum, Sebastian Varndell, Delaney all have pace, so it's going to be a fantastic finish in the last 15 laps of the race this time by.
All for one for all, as they go through the final stages of this race. And it's going to be one where they're all going to be looking around and saying, what do we need to do? You got Teoso Arono, who's thinking about places. Then Tim Mulford is going to be looking at that track racer sponsored car, trying to think about what you've got to do. And there is 91 as well. Tom Pritchard was looking at a little bit of a pass as well. John Fillingham finds himself looking in front of him. That's Luke Crum. That's for Super Sport out there, but does have Blake Warboys for a little bit of company, who should move through on the inside, running up forward. They've both gone wide in front, breaking each other, and Tom Pritchard and Luke Swanson. And all of a sudden comes a 5-car train.
Yeah, certainly. And Luke Crum, he's just going to try and do his own thing. He's got a pretty much faster car behind him in Warboys. I don't think he's going to challenge him too hard. Warboys already looking down the inside. He wants to get this move done because he wants to go after Pritchard and Swan, the guys in Super Pro category that he's racing. He doesn't need to be racing Luke Crum.
No, he doesn't. That's very, very true. And in terms of, do you want the category or do you want extra positions? It's going to be the question that's there. A little bit of a wider entry by Tom Pritchard leaves Luke Crum now in place as Blake Warboys is just trying to dissect his way through this group. And he's going to need a run off the exit. He does manage a little bit of one as they now go through. 1 second, the gap at the front of the field as here comes Blake Warboys. This a move for 14th place in the WKMP Sim Sports car to the inside then at turn 1, Rich's corner, and gets the pass done. So Blake Warboys gets another one.
Yeah, certainly Warboys, a nice little recovery drive. There's Crum back down the inside. How you going there, Luke Crum in the number 30 machine, back past Warboys under brakes. Fantastic move there for the Supersport category leader. We thought Warboys were going to check out. Luke Crum says, hell no, I'm back through.
Back through indeed, and very well done. Varndell having to be really, really defensive at this point in time with Blake Delaney there. This is a really, really big moment in terms of this race. because he's got Varndell trying to figure out where can you go, where is the right place, the right time to make these moves, and he's not quite able to really manage it. He knows that there is that little look in front that is there. You've got the likes, of course, of Michael Whiting. You've got in front as well Dyson and Freeman, who lead this race. Those two will have their own race right now, but there's nothing really that these drivers can do except try and close up to Michael Whiting. The more they race with each other, the less likely that will happen for the podium.
Yeah, certainly Varndell and Delaney are battling it out, and they're all pretty much the same speed. Whiting, Varndell, and Delaney last time by pretty close speeds, and interesting to know, Dyson 4/10 quicker on that last lap compared to Thomas Freeman, and he is now closing right on the back of him into turn number 5. Dyson will be looking to get past him very, very shortly. Will be 12 laps to go this time by, and Freeman certainly under a lot of pressure for the number 41 machine.
Okay, he is under pressure, but now questions will start to arise then for number 1, Thomas Freeman, because Andrew Dyson is driving with everything he's got. He's been on the wrong side of the strategy here today, and he's now going to have to do it with a bit of talent to try and get through. And you can list off a number of brilliant ways that Andrew Dyson is as a driver, about as long as his beard, with the way that he drives and how good he is out there on circuit. But when he is piloting around that simrigs.com DPR Mustang, trying to get right up underneath the Mustang of Thomas Freeman's Fishy Motorsport machine, he knows that he's trying to think about which way he can make a move with 12 laps to go. Does he have a way to make that pass? He thinks about a look to the inside. He gets a great run for it, but he's just out of straight, needed 50 meters.
Yes, and I think Dyson will be looking for a turn 1 pass. He was brilliant there before against Michael White, even turn number 2. Down the back straight, then turn 4, turn 5, a very risky overtaking opportunity there for Dyson. He doesn't want to risk anything too crazy, because remember, he's in the championship lead as well, so one big mistake and he can lose all them points, because Varndell right behind him in points, only P number 4, so Dyson's definitely got to weigh up that risk versus reward here. Does he want to go for the win? He could ruin his championship aspirations in the process.
He could. He does have to think about that, and maybe a second is better than 5th if it all goes wrong. But for Andrew Dyson, goes through the opening corner of Riches, chasing Thomas Freeman. Freeman's driven an absolutely fantastic race today. You can't take anything away from him. The way that he's just kept himself sorted, and he backs him up again, trying to go through. But this time, I think Andrew Dyson's done well. But it's drive on acceleration through 2nd gear into 3rd gear. That's where Thomas Freeman is just building enough momentum. He's just covering it off on this straight because he's got enough drive.
Yeah, so it looks like Dyson is a little bit better under brakes compared to Freeman. Whether Freeman's intentionally backing up just a little bit to get a little bit of advantage on the straightaway, or Dyson's just that much better under brakes. But Dyson's really throwing it all. The SimSpeed.com DPR 41 machine, he's throwing absolutely everything at Thomas Freeman, the number 1 machine, and these guys are going to go hammer and tong for the final remaining laps.
They absolutely are. Every position matters now here in these late stages. Where do you find the right move? And Andrew Dyson, once again, stuck up underneath. He's going to try and get in the mirrors here at turn 1, Rich's corner. No chance there's going to be a move there, but heading to Wilson at turn 2. Is that going to be a place where maybe we see it done? He's just able to just lean in under braking, get close. But again, Freeman is so good at sitting him up through turn 2, getting the drive on his time through turn 3, that he mitigates the run for turn number 4. And that's where Andrew Dyson's going to have to be clever here. He's going to have to find a way of taking a slightly different line through turn 2 that allows him to open up turn 3 more.
Yeah, certainly it looks like Freeman definitely has the better drive traction coming off turn number 3, which pretty much keeps him safe into turn number 4 and 5. So he's being good in the correct places and making it very, very difficult for Dyson to try and get the job done. Dyson's still a little bit quicker on lap time the last 2 times by, but can't quite get close enough to get the job done. Freeman again coming off the final call at Murray's, a little bit better than Dyson, so it looks like he'll be safe again for another lap. As we look back, and Blake Delaney and Sebastian Varndell still right with each other for position number 4 and 5, and Varndell just holding on from Delaney as we go back to Andrew Dyson.
just shows how much that they've been trying to race here. And that these drivers, 4th and 5th, they've got the same story here. They've got the same sort of race out on their hands. They've got to really try and go and make that happen. So we'll keep an eye out on that as they go through. So Ty Delaney, then we'll have a little look then at this. This is the 07 and the 151. And that from second position is John Fillingham finding himself pointing in the wrong direction. That's how quickly it can go wrong through Coram Corner, the penultimate corner out on circuit there. Fast flowing, you leave one gap, there's trouble. Varndale having to defend at the bomb hole corner. He just about has it covered.
Yeah, certainly Varndale lost a little bit of time there, and Delaney right on the back of him once again. As we go back to the front, Dyson, this is the closer he has been coming off the final corner on Thomas Freeman, as we have PJ Whiteman up ahead the lap car. This could play a factor in this race. Dyson might have a look down the inside of turn 1 here. Won't quite get close enough, but look at it into turn 2. Dyson's right on the back of Freeman here. The lap car gets out of the way just in time. Dyson might put a move
here
on
he goes.
To 2 down the inside. The number 41 machine, Andrew Dyson.
Can he get it stopped?
He gets it stopped, Sperry. He pulls out in front and will get the drive traction off turn number 3. But the big question is, can he hold him off into turn number 4?
He struggled a little bit there. The rear just started to sit up a little bit. He'll have to defend here now at turn 4. Thomas Freeman now trying to find a move. If he can get around the outside here under braking, he's got a chance at Nelson Corner, but it's covered off by Andrew Dyson, who moves up into the race lead and has had to really fight for that. But it's not over because Thomas Freeman's got 1 lap pressure tyres. And remember, when those two were racing together in the early stages of the race, they were very even in terms of time. And I'm sure that Thomas Freeman knows he's got to take the shackles off now, 8 laps to go, and think about trying to get back at number 41, the championship leader.
Yeah, certainly it's going to unleash Freeman, just have a big, massive crack. And what that little battling did between turn 1, 2, 3, 4, that's brought Whiting back in it as well. So Whiting's not out of this yet. He was way quicker than those guys the last time by. So the 025's not out of the question just yet either for a race win.
No, that's very true. And they are starting to think about race victory. That could be massive there. Big kick of grass, dust in the background and dirt from Sebastian Varndale, who's trying to get within range. He's about 2 seconds adrift of that group at this moment. So he's got some work to do. But for Thomas Freeman, he stays within range. He's very good at keeping within a range. He wants to try and make some places up here. He's not quite in range to make that happen here at this point in time. He'll want to try and get through. They flick right through the bomb hole. They'll come to Coram Corner. Freeman maybe needs a couple laps to cool the tyres down and then go at it again with a little bit more freshness. It's a much different skill following a car than it is outright leading the race. And I think that's what Thomas Freeman's skill set is a little bit better for. I think he's a little bit better when he's following.
Yeah, certainly agree there, Sperry. And Freeman just got to try and stay on the back of Dyson now. It was quicker the last time by just under 1/10 of a second. So he does have the pace, Thomas Freeman. He just needs to string together a few good corners, few good laps, and try and challenge Andrew Dyson once again for the race lead. He's been right on him. These two have been head and class above the field all race. And as you say that, Michael Whiting is closing again on Thomas Freeman. He's got some really good pace in the 025 machine. I think this is a 3-way battle for the win.
It absolutely is. They were all doing 108.8s and 108.9s over that last lap. And Blake Delaney, by the way, is through. He's up into 4th position, and he made the pass going through into turn 2 because Sebastian Varndale made a mistake under brakes, locked it up, and ultimately, thank you very much, through then will go Blake Delaney. He's now up into 4th. Varndale has fallen back to 5th.
Yeah, certainly Varndale, another position loss, which is not good for his championship hopes. Again, still early in the championship to be thinking about a championship, but 1 position loss there for Varndale, and Delaney's got a lot of good pace there. As we go to the iRacing VRS replay, looks like a little bit wide there for Varndale and Delaney. Yeah, big mistake there from Varndale. Missed his braking marker completely at turn number 3, and just a very easy pass for Delaney to get by there.
Yep, that's as easy as it comes. And there's not much more you can do. Delaney with a big kick up going through turn 1. And that would have been another little scare in a car that has been sideways twice in this race today with Michael Taliancic. That would not have been exactly what the doctor ordered in this race. I'll tell you what, though, we haven't really been keeping a focus on it, but Blake Wallboys might get a top 10. He's got eyes on Teo Sorono.
Yeah, certainly Wallboy's been charging through the field. After that earlier penalty, he started position number 3 at the start, had a little bit of a poor getaway off the line, got that drive-through penalty, but he is charging right back through. One of the quicker guys in this field. He's right on the back of Sorono, as you said, Sperry, and he's looking at a top 10, and he could even get to centre to tell you just by races end. He's got that much speed.
He absolutely does, and it's going to be work, though, to get to those two in front. Looking at his times, did a 1:09.2 that last time by, and it's about a couple tenths quicker than Brody Centers, but he is bottled up once again, and it's going to make life difficult for him. 4 laps to go now at the line. This is probably one of the things that he's going to hope for, trying to make this pass. If he can find a pass, if he can find a move, on the brakes he goes into the opening corner, and Riches is not going to get there, but he's got a good run here for turn number 2. Can he find the pass at the inside? No, Sorono's got it covered.
Yeah, Sorono, very good driving there. Keeping Wallboys at bay for the minute. Wallboys got some pace to burn. He's just got to try and get the move done at the right time as we go back to the front. Dyson just hanging on from Thomas Freeman. Freeman making a bit more inroads once again on Andrew Dyson. And these guys will be battling out for the race lead very shortly and keeping the pressure on him as Wallboys has another look at Teo Sorono. Can't quite get done to turn number 4 and 5.
No, can't quite get that through the Nelson corner, but there are your two leaders. They have broken away from Michael Whiting. So for these drivers who started first and second on the grid, who are those two drivers that today have been the class of the field, how are they going to figure this out between them? Andrew Dyson is there on the brakes, right up underneath now goes Thomas Freeman. He absolutely closes that margin, and a big kick over the curb from Andrew Dyson brings Thomas Freeman even closer still. He might have a chance to make a move here at turn 4 with 3 laps to go, but he thinks better of it, sits back into the slipstream heading in towards Brundle. But Andrew Dyson, he starts to feel this right now from Thomas Freeman. He knows he's in a race.
Yeah, certainly. We noted it before. Freeman's been very good off turn number 3 with his drive traction, and showed there once again. Got better drive off turn number 3. Put the pressure on Dyson into down the back straight, down the Bentley straight, into turn number 4 and 5. He's putting the pressure right back on him. 2 laps to go this time by. Dyson's hanging on for dear life as Freeman looks like he's got a pace advantage here, and he's ready to pounce should the opportunity arise.
But the difference is it's 3 car lengths over the line once again, and that time again, 4/10 of a second. It's got to be within 3, within 2/10 of a second if he wants to get the move that he wants. And this is where Thomas Freeman has got to find a magic lap here, because I don't think he will get himself through. I don't think he'll find themselves in. Race control says no further safety cars from this point. You are racing green to the end no matter what happens. So number 1, Thomas Freeman, can he find the magic that allows him to get past Andrew Dyson? He's not close enough this time, but it does, once again, take just one mistake to change the complexity of this race.
Yeah, so it doesn't take much around this track, Sperry. Very tight circuit. A little mistake will cost you dearly here. So Andrew Dyson will certainly be looking to put the car in the right spot. Try and keep Thomas Freeman at bay, as we will get the white flag this time by half a second the gap. Andrew Dyson doing a very good job as we're about to come through Murray's for the second last time, and see if Thomas Freeman can put together a lap of brilliance to try and get the job done.
Freeman had a fantastic run, just was slightly wide as they go up the centre straight for the final time. This, the final lap here of the Snetterton 200, the 3rd round here of your DSL V8 SuperCup. But this is now for Thomas Freeman about searching. This is the power corner. Can he get a drive? He gets a tap to the back. But nothing that Andrew Dyson should be worried or concerned about, because he's now got himself the 2 car lengths that makes the biggest overtaking opportunity null and void as he goes through towards Brundle corner and then subsequently Nelson corner. A little bit more of a narrow line from Freeman, who sends a big lunge towards the inside. He's not going to get there. The last chance is going to be Murray's corner through the bomb hole. This transfer right-hander. Corum's going to be crucial. Both drivers dipping tyres then into the grass. Thomas Freeman, this is your last chance If you want to make this move, Dyson's going to have to be wise to it here as they enter the final corner. Big lunge through. He's not close enough. Dyson will get the drive out to the exit, and Andrew Dyson will survive Snetterton and increase his championship lead.
Then let's Barry after that earlier strategical. We didn't think Dyson really had much of a chance there to get past Freeman, but pure speed and grit from the number 41 machine gets the job done and wins back-to-back weeks and 3 wins in a row for the DPR team. Freeman P2, Michael Whiting P3, as we have down there the number 30, Luke Crum, position number 13 on track. He will win Super Sport category. Once again, he won last week, I believe, and he'll win back-to-back weeks. The number 30 machine, LR Esports, Luke Crum will take the Super Sport category victory.
Yeah, lovely job from Luke Crum, and not necessarily in much doubt. He drove a very, very strong race here today, and he's got every reason to be excited of that. Hallinan will be second in class, and Christopher Tomlin will be third in class for that. But there's your overall winner, Andrew Dyson. And oh my word, did he have to work for that one today. It wasn't as plain sailing as Silverstone. That much was very, very clear. But the end of 2022, the final broadcast here this season with SimSpeed TV, that was pretty much as worth it as it gets. Let's get confirmation then of results, and we'll get them up on your screen for you in just a moment. 1 hour and 36 seconds later, Andrew Dyson holds on to stave off the Thomas Freeman charge in a race today where he had to make the passes and he was a little bit on the back foot on strategy, just 0.4 of a second, the margin at the end of the race. Michael Whiting will make sure it's 2 fishy cars up on the podium with 4th position belonging to Blake Delaney, making the pass late on Sebastian Varndell after a small mistake. In 6th position, it would be Brendan Nitschke with Tim Mulford 7th. Michael Taliancic having an up and down and all-around day was able to manage to get back to 8th place. Brody Sentence 9th, and Teo Sorono rounding out the top 10. Over the page in 11th will be Blake Warboys, who had a drive-through penalty to serve today, but was able to recover back to 11th ahead of Luke Swan and your Super Sport category winner, Luke Crum, who finishes in 13th. Tom Pritchard would be 14th ahead of Martin Hallinan in 15th, who had to hold off Chris Tomlin late in 16th position for 3rd in class. John Fillingham had an eventful day. He finished off 4th in class in 17th with Ty Delaney, Will Jesberg and Shane Nowens rounding out the top 20 overall. Over the page then will be Kobe Jordan and Troy Mortensen. 2 laps down would be PJ Whiteman. Jack Anderson would find disqualification, with Andy Barber's internet issues costing him a finish today in 25th, with Aidan Schultz and Matthew Shanahan not making the finish, along with Jai Schultz, who had himself the big engine blow up over the early stages, throwing the initial safety car out into play. We are going to get a chance, though, to chat as we take a virtual stroll down the paddock. Andrew Dyson has found himself around and will be willing to have a conversation with us as victor overall here in this race. Andrew, you had to work for that, and it started off with the first safety car coming along at pretty much the wrong time, about lap 12. Not early enough to make a pit stop, but everyone else behind you thinking, oh, cool, free stop.
Yeah, pretty much that's how it went. I think they all kind of ganged up, put their brains together and said, hey, why don't we all pit and put Dyson on the back foot. So it worked pretty good. Definitely had to work for it at the start there. But when in reality, I was probably looking at like a 3rd, 4th, at absolute best if that next safety car didn't come. So that really helped me out, man.
Well, that safety car helped you out. It got the field bunched up. You were in 3rd position. You had to make passes early, but it looked like the 2 fishy cars were trying to conspire against you there, just to try and back you up off the start, give you a little bit more gap. The moment you make that move at turn 1, get past Michael Whiting up into 2nd position, was that for you the sort of race where you're like, right, okay, head down, we've got to go?
Yeah, definitely. As soon as I kind of had a bit of a half a look or a chance on, I think it was Michael there. Yeah, I had to take it, and fair play to them. They did play, probably not massively backing up at the start there, but they did what they could, and that's absolutely by the book. So I just had to work with that and try not to let it get to me, and just do the best I could really, and try to get some moves on. But that was really good race.
Good race. Talk about the final pass then, because that was a must-make overtake in the late stages. You were searching, and finally you open it up and you find the move that gets you, and DPR, technically you could say, on top of this as well. DPR unbeaten at the end of 2022, moving into 2023. What is next for you? Your championship lead increases.
Yeah, that last move, I pretty much just had to kind of really send it. It's actually a really difficult track to pass on. If you kind of don't clear someone and you end up side by side with them, you just kind of end up in this long side by side sort of weird situation. But anyway, the 3 wins, that's pretty good to finish off the year. Although there's plenty of races this year that we haven't done very well in. That's good to finish off like that and get some good races in a cool little league. So for us next, I guess we just continue to try and get some laps in and get some miles in this car again, because really it's been a long time since we focused on some supercar stuff, so it's good to get back into it.
Well, 1 week's time, it's Oschersleben. We hope to see you there. And on top of that, the floor is yours. It's a victory here at Snetterton. Shout out sponsors, who gets it done for you?
Yeah, new track, that'd be cool. Looking forward to that. Quick shout out to all the guys at Global who put this on, Race Control tonight, who look after the racing. You guys here at SimSpeed, who put on the broadcast. Appreciate that. Quick shout outs for us to South Wales, Simrigs, Benmax, Phoenix Smokers, and MP Designs for the sick paint jobs. And thanks to all the series sponsors too. Can't forget those guys.
You absolutely can't. Andrew Dyson then, back-to-back race victories. He has got himself taming the Isle of Great Britain, as he now finds himself then on top here when he gets himself through on these tracks. It was, though, second position for Thomas Freeman, who was able to finish well in that second place. He stood by with Brady Baldwin.
Thomas, what a fantastic race there between you and Andrew Dyson there. Tell us the race from your point.
Yeah, it was actually really good. It was just pretty much a great race from Dyson. It was pretty much just trying to stick with him because, we all know he's fast. And just happy to stick with him. And unfortunately, at the end there, he got me. But it was nice, clean racing. And, that's what it's all about.
When that first safety car came out, you were the first of the guys to take a pit stop. And me and Sperry were chatting on the broadcast and said you looked like had the best seat in the house. But that late safety car brought everyone back together. What were your thoughts on that late safety car and having your teammate in second and then Dyson in P3?
Look, like the safety car, I think it probably helped me out more than it helped out Dyson, to be honest, because when he pitted, I guess he couldn't use his tyres to his advantage because the lap after that's when the safety car came out and I got to pit and we got to jump him, or me and Mike got to jump him in the pits. But Dyson sent it into turn 1. It was a clean pass, and then it was just up to him to drive clean and get up to me, and he done it. So I mean, safety cars, it wasn't too bad. I don't think it won or lost the race. It was just one of them things, and I think it didn't actually need to come out because the guy got his car going again. But anyway, it's all good. I think it helped me more than it helped Dyson that last safety car.
We now move into 2023 in the next round at a newer circuit on the racing service, Motorpark Oschersleben. What are your thoughts heading there for round number 4?
Yeah, awesome. I think after my first 2 rounds, I've just got to get to the tracks more and cut a little bit more laps than I have been. And then obviously the results will come. It's shown tonight that we can be at the front again. So I reckon all the new tracks are going to be awesome. Hopefully, we all struggle a little bit, and we have to be on top of our game and on top of our driving. It'll be a good race.
Before we let you go, any sponsors and shout-outs you want to give after your P2 performance?
West End Motor Group, Infinity Designs, MJS Gaming, Air Transport, and of course the Fishy Motorsport boys for all backing me, and for Michael for having me aboard, and Blakey for always being bang on with the fuel strategies. And shout out to Ty as well, he's driving unreal. So good work, buddy, and keep it up. Cheers, boys.
Thank you, Thomas. Congratulations once again, and hope to see you next week.
Thanks, boys. You too. Thank you for the stream broadcast.
Thomas Freeman. Absolutely there, second position. Sorry to steal your thunder there, Brady. We are going to jump in, though. We're going to get ourselves more conversations going through. We're going to grab ourselves a little bit of a chat now with Michael Whiting, who was able to finish 3rd position overall. Michael, Fishy having an absolutely fantastic day. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Definitely nothing to shake a stick at. But today it looked like everyone was trying to find those moves, trying to find the right passes. You, in terms of your race, I would say probably had one of the calmest races out there, despite the finishing position of third there. Everybody looked like they were trying to get aggressive and make moves early, but you were the one just being patient, waiting for the move to come to you, essentially.
Yeah, look, I had a bit of an incident with Sebastian Van Dell where I sort of locked the rears into two and gave him a bit of a tap on the exit, which wasn't ideal, but I got gifted that spot. Blake had a couple of incidents where he did the same thing, basically locked the rears into two, and he ran wide, so I was able to sneak up the inside, and safety cars played a big part in the pit stops tonight, so yeah, it was kind of gifted P3, but still had to stay there, so I'll take it.
Certainly will. Just talk about trying to set up this car around here, because it looks like you got two very long straights, so you definitely want the top end for it, but you're always trying to find those overtakes, and it's very difficult to try and really get that opportunity to go to the inside. How important was that rear locking in terms of how you went about getting that set up and trying to get around a track where it's very difficult and there's a lot of turning and braking at the same time?
It's just moving brake bias, really. So the really tight, slow speed corners, you've got to move the bias forward, so you try not to lock rears. But it's a bit of a balancing act, trying to not to lock fronts as well. So you're sort of up and down the brake bias on the whole lap, depending on what you're doing. So, and roll bars as well, with tyre wear as well. So fairly long stint on the tyres.
Fairly long stint, a very strong result as well, with Fishing Motorsport right up there in the championship and looking to score some more points. Osher Schleben then, to start off 2023, what's your feelings on that German track?
Have not turned a lap there, so that'll be this week's task.
Well, it's going to be a little bit of homework over the new year for you. Before we let you go, Michael, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, look, I'll give a shout out to all the fishy sponsors. Obviously, West End Motor Group is our main sponsor. We've got Battery Warehouse, Airlie Beach, Precision Sim Training. We've also got Infinity Designs, Adrenaline Images, DC Shades, Relax Marine Game Fishing, and a big shout out to MJS Gaming as well.
No, it's at all there. Michael Whiting, third position overall in the 025 Fishy Motorsports car, and did very well in the Holden to get a strong result out of it. There is one more driver that we're going to get a chance to talk to here. Brady Baldwin has found your Supersport victor in Luke Crumb.
Luke, first off, congratulations, winning in the Supersport category once again. 13th overall. How did you find the race out there?
Hey guys, hey everyone. Yeah, it was pretty tricky out there. A lot of biff and barge and very tight track, but yeah, managed to scrape another win two weeks in a row, which is pretty good.
Certainly an awesome effort, and a few little setbacks early in the race, and then a few mistakes from the guys in front certainly opened the door for you to take out the win and pull out a little bit of a gap there on the rest of your competitors in Supersport.
Yeah, that's right, Brady. Yeah, I was sort of struggling with the setup at the start. I just couldn't get real comfortable and couldn't get in the groove, and yeah, I think that was the go for all my peers around me as well. Everyone was always all doing the same, I think, and you know, obviously there was some fast guys getting penalties or running off track, so you had those guys coming through the pack too, which sort of split us all up and caused a bit of havoc as well.
So next week we head to another very technical racetrack, first race of 2023 for the Series 8 Motorsport Oshleben. Tell us your thoughts heading into that track next week.
I honestly haven't raced there yet, so it's going to be a bit of a learning curve, and I think there's going to be a lot of late nights for the week leading up to it anyway.
There seems to be a common theme in our interviews tonight, Luke. Congratulations on your win in Supersport once again. Before we let you go, any sponsors and shout-outs you'd like to give?
Yep, I'd just like to thank the guys at LCR and Inside Lane Productions Racing. They massive support, everyone there in the team that pulls their weight. Chops Promotes, Tech Support, Contract Ag, HM Mechanical, Staunch Full Bars, J-Tune, JDH Signs, and Matt's Car Care. Thanks everyone for the support, and thanks Jake and Brady for putting on the broadcast.
Thank you, Luke, for the chat once again, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
No worries, guys. See you later. Hopefully I get to talk to you again.
Hopefully we'll do it, Luke. Thank you.
But there you have it, Luke Crumb finishing off his second victory. Friday, January the 6th, it's a New Year's dash that we'll be having as we will head to Germany and to Motorsport Arena Oschersleben. This, for the fourth round of the championship, will mark the 1/3 distance. It will be once again 150 Ks to keep in mind, so make sure you mark that down as we'll be racing 8:15 p.m. AEDST to make sure that there is some amazing action that is going to be going on here from this track. But that's going to do it then for us here, not just for today, but for the year with SimSpeed TV. There is your calendar going through here. We're here at Snetterton, of course, Oschersleben, Phillip Island, and then the 200 at Chicago is going to be a big one to keep in mind later on in the season. But a massive thanks has to go to everyone who's been getting it done, from DSL Welding Services, Inside Lane Productions, and SVR Images. As well as that, the Virtual Racing School, who have been with us over the course of this year. Once again, it's been a pleasure to have them on board for the ride. And as we take a look at one of the most beautiful cafes around the Snetterton track, from Jay Kennedy, from Brady Baldwin, and myself, Jake Sperry, Andrew Dyson will end off 22 with a big win. Had to hold on, had to race and make the pass to get ahead, but Thomas Freeman's got a lot closer over that last week. Those Fishy Motorsport drivers are going to give him a challenge between now and the end of this season, and there are a number of drivers who are there who very nearly put themselves in the picture. Blake Warboys, Sebastian Varndale, Michael Taliancic. This is by no means a done and dusted championship, and Oschersleben next week, next year, will be an all-important challenge. We'll see you on the 6th, and we'll see you for round 4 very soon.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got really outside both of them. Maloney. Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to him.
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled.
Second very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go.
Oh no!
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?